So has everybody seen the first Zootropolis? So Holly, you never saw the first Zootropolis? Oh,
No.
honestly, Zootropolis is one of the best animated movies. It's one of those because when you think Disney is just becoming like bad and not taking any risks and everything like that, and then you have
Mhm.
Zootropolis, which came out and just went, oh my god, this is amazing. And it is essentially imagine an animated cartoon about a bunny and a fox and everything, and they live in this massive thing and they live in this massive metropolis, hence the name Metropolis. But it's all these animals live there, and it's all mammals. Mammals all live in this place. So you have hippos living beside mice, and you have different areas of the town where you have like you have like Shrew Town, and you have like Mice Town, and where you have like where the elephants live, and you have like a frozen tundra where all the polar bears are, and all that kind of stuff. And it's this massive metropolis, this melting pot of all these different species. And the first film was a very effective crime noir thriller. Think something along the lines of Chinatown or something like that, or LA Confidential, put in a kids' film with cuddly animals, and it was quite frankly all about racism. It was it was about racism and it was about races. How do you get along with each other and everything like that? It is one of the cleverest films of the last 10 years. Sean, by the way, you're on mute, just so in case you didn't know. And it's like, and it's so and in this one, so in the second one, you have the returning characters from the first film, which is Judy Hopps, voiced by Jennifer Goodwin, and she's a bunny rabbit, and she's the first bunny rabbit on the Zootropolis Police Department, on the Zootropolis Police Force. And in the first film, she ends up chasing down this fox character, and voiced by Jason Bateman. And this time, as it comes around, they've become partners. He's become a police officer, and you meet them a week after the thing. And in the first film, they have saved the town. They've saved the city of the Metropolis, and so then you have this whole thing where everybody's going, well, that was just you guys just got lucky. It was just a one-off. Yeah, I mean, a fox and a bunny. How can a fox? And you have all these ingrained things where people are like, a bunny can't really do anything like that. And essentially, there's so many things about othering, about racism, and that you can find and you can attach it to the way they do things in this film. And then it's about, but because Judy, she's like, I have to prove myself. I've got to prove myself again. I've got to prove that like, it wasn't a one off the last time. And she's like really, really risk taking and all that kind of stuff. And Nick, the fox, he's kind of like more laid back and all. So they end up going to like a couple's, almost like a partner's therapy thing about how they're going to do. But in the midst of all of it, because she starts getting this feeling that there's a reptile has come into the city. And in this whole thing, they have it's for mammals, but reptiles are ostracized. And reptiles are not allowed to come to the city. And people are like, if a reptile comes in, there's going to be hell to pay. Reptiles are just going to destroy everything. Reptiles are evil. We need to get rid of reptiles. And then it shows up that like a snake has somehow gotten into the city. And it becomes this whole detective thing of what's the snake doing here? How are we going to catch this snake? And then this is where it gets very film noir, very Chinatown. It becomes like, hang on, is this snake the bad guy? It's no. You can figure out that the snake may not be a bad guy. And then it becomes like, who are the real bad guys and how are we going to go about this? And it becomes this whole thing about power and how people have powers. And a lot of this becomes about zoning laws and people and how people decide essentially we're going to build a new development, and how they go and build a new development, and what shenanigans go on behind the scenes to build a new development, and who gets pushed out when they do that. And I think this film is so inventive. It is so inventive in all the tiny sight gags. It's the kind of film you want to watch more than once. It's like you want to watch more than once because there's so many side gags in it that I'm like, what was that? What was that? What's the name of that shop? What was that called? I've got to go back and watch it again because I didn't miss that. Like apparently there is a character in it called Ed Sheeran who is some kind of animal in the film, and there's so many things. And it's got a brilliant voice cast. As I said, Jennifer Goodwin, Jason Bateman, Idris Elba's in there, Shakira's in there, Andy Samberg shows up, David Strathairn is in there as well. It is just, and I thought that the story that they told is one of the best sort of detective film noir kind of stories I've seen for a while. It is. I think obviously it's not as fresh as the first one because the first one was just like a blast from everything, and because of this, it's a bit familiar. And they do try a little bit too hard to bring back some characters from the first film. There is one brilliant Ratatouille joke in there that made me crack up. And there's all these is even things like there's a very very tiny shot where you know how when your kid's growing up and you measure them on the height as they're growing up on the wall and everything like that. There's this one tiny shot about snakes and how snakes do it. But with snakes, it's not about the height; it's about the length. And then they have this sort of like graduation that's the length of the snake as the snake is growing. And it's just these tiny little things that make sure that they've put so much thought into it for something that's going to be on screen for all of 3 seconds, and you're not going to see it. But I thought it was great. I think Fortune Feimster shows up and she does a voice in it. Ki Hu Kwan voices Gary the Snake, and his last name is the Snake. And I loved this. I thought it was great. I thought it was brilliant. You could probably quibble and say it's not as good as the first one. I don't think it was ever going to be as good as the first one, because the first one, I think a big part of the thing about the first one is how fresh it was. But I would still give this a 4 out of 5. I really liked it, and I think what it goes on, there is, as I said, there's whoever you are, there's probably something that's happened in history that you can attach to what's going on in here, or a character that you can say that's who that industrialist is like, or anything like that. There's probably somebody you could, but for me, I know that there's a very definite incident in American history where a black community got burnt out of this community that they had built up, and it just got taken over, and like they just got killed. And I know that, and I feel like I was like, oh my god, that's what they're doing here. That's what they're doing here. It's kind of like the first one, but yeah. But anyway, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I would say go watch it. And Holly, please watch the first one.
I will. I have the time.
You have the time. Watch the first one. It is on Disney Plus. It is brilliant. All right, cool. So that's 4 stars out of 5 for Zootropolis 2, and it still shocks me a bit how much money it's making. But I think people just like bunnies.
Yeah.
It still shocks me how much money it's making, but it's a very, very good film. All right.